righty. So first things first. I know that you in the back are trying to wonder, you're ready to make the decision, should you stay in the room or should you leave? I too attend conferences, I understand how it is. But as best you can, move in, move down, because I'd like for you to be as close to me as possible, because I'd like to be as close to you as possible. I had a deck, I don't know, 95% done for this conference. And essentially what it was a bunch of tools. It was different AI tools, different places where people were using it in sourcing, scheduling, hiring manager communication, etc. And I thought, you know what? Showing you tools is not what you need right now. Okay? That's very arrogant of me to say that, but it comes from a good place. I promise. We're at a moment in time where I think what you need is to do two things. You need to overcome some fear, and we need to focus on the experience. So we're going to have two themes for today's session as we get into it. But if you're looking for a PowerPoint presentation, sadly, I'm going to disappoint you. Because I think, to some degree, I think PowerPoint makes you dumb. Or at least, it can make you dumb. It can be a tool both for good, and it can be a tool for evil, or stupidity, whatever. So I want to talk to you, okay? I want you to get used to that, get used to my voice. We're going to shut the doors in a second. We'll shut out some of that noise, okay? And I'm going to tell you some stories. And I want those stories, I want you to listen. And I want you to take note of what's being said and take that back to your office. Okay? Rules? We have rules? Good? Could somebody close the doors so that we could shut those other folks out? And if you were trying to leave, guess what? We just locked the doors. That's crazy, right? All right. I want everyone to get out their phones or iPads, whatever you take pictures with. And I want you to take a picture. So go on. I know they're in your hands anyhow. Take a picture. Everyone put your cameras up, put your phones up, put your iPads up. Right now, I'm actually asking you to do something for me. Take a picture. Everyone in the audience. If you can hear my voice, take a picture. You don't have to take a picture of me. Just take a picture. You can take a picture of your best friend sitting next to you. Doesn't have to be me. I'm not that much of an egomaniac. All right. So now, with that picture, go back into the gallery. Okay? Go and look at that picture for just a second. Go into that picture and pull that picture up. What you just took. The picture you just took. Pull it up. I promise this will make sense in a moment. That picture is a moment in time. Everything before that moment in time was different, and everything after that moment will be different. That is a snapshot. That's all it is. Hopefully you got the best side of me, which is not really any good side of me. The point is we're on a continuum with technology. And we're at a moment in time with technology. Okay? So to act like we understand technology, any of us, and to act like we have the secrets is ignorance personified. And so you probably figured out I'm American, so you probably already hate me, which is totally fine. I'm used to that. I'm not that arrogant to think that I have all the answers about AI. Because every single moment of the day, there's a new picture being made. It's happening faster than we can catch up with. And I study this every single day of my life, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. And if I can't keep up with it, you as practitioners have no chance of keeping up with it. It's that rapid of change, okay? That's why the picture was important. So the two themes for today are fears and the experience. Both are going to be very important to us to explore and to talk about in the 20 minutes we have. So let's first talk about our fears. Our fears in technology come down to adoption. We're accustomed to things a certain way, okay? While I've been here in Singapore, Gmail changed my inbox from having 3 separate inboxes to now a collapsed inbox where all of the mail goes into one place. And I was hugely disappointed in Google, massively upset and frustrated that they had changed this technology. And after about an hour, I figured, you know what? They're not going to change it back. I should probably get used to this. So what happened first? Fear, anxiety. My life was changed. I used to do it a certain way, and now they changed it on me, right? And I didn't like that. And I deal with technology every single day, like most of you. And that happened. That happened without my knowledge. That happened without my approval, which is sometimes what happens in technology adoption in HR and recruiting. So when you study technology adoption, what you study is essentially training. How do you get people trained in how to use the technology? Be it a sourcing technology, a CRM, candidate relationship management, an ATS, a new assessment, behavioral skills testing, whatever, scheduling tool. You have to be trained. Well, here's 2 barriers to training that I want you to think about, and these are getting to your fears. One is learning styles. Every single one of us likes to learn differently. We have a unique way, like a fingerprint, of how we like to learn. So we can't learn all the same way. That doesn't work. Like if somebody sends me a PDF and says, hey, learn this, I'll just delete it. If somebody sends me a video and says, okay, watch this video, I'll delete it. Here's how I learn. I learn by logging in and breaking stuff. That's how I learn. And I'm not saying that's the best way to learn at all. I'm just saying that that's my way of learning, okay? Each of you have a different way of learning. So that's a barrier to be overcome. We also have learning differences, Learning differences like dyslexia or dysgraphia. These are barriers to learning. These are barriers to training. So if we want technology adopted, and we want to overcome our fears with technology, we've got to train people. Well, how do we train people if we don't know how they like to learn, or we don't know what hinders them from learning, right? So we've got to not just open up our hearts, we've got to do some work and find out about how people like to consume training. Because that's the game, is the consumption and usage and adoption. Years ago when I studied user adoption, I used to think on one level that user adoption was the game. Like if we could just get them to use the software. And what I learned is that's a midway point onto a much greater point to user love. You want users to love the software that they use, or the technology that they use. You can't imagine life without it, right? There's an app, I guarantee there's an app on every single one of your phones that you could not live without. How do we make business critical software be that, right? How can we imagine a world where we don't have that particular payroll system? So the value chain of recruiting, for those of you that would like to know, is from sourcing to onboarding, generally accepted. I didn't know you, I had to find you. Once I found you, I needed to market to you, and I needed you to get to take an action, apply for a job. Once you applied for a job, then I wanted to put a bunch of things in front of you, like assessments and skills training and interviews, all kinds of stuff. And at one point, I either offer you a job or I don't. Right, that experience. And if you get to onboarding, that's the end of talent acquisition. There's an argument to be said that it goes much further. Let's not have that argument today. let's just talk about sourcing to onboarding as the value chain. So, what fear do we have? Well, one of the fears, FOMO, is the fear of missing out. It's the fear that somebody else, maybe a competitor, maybe someone even in our own organization is doing it, and they're doing it better, or doing it differently than we are. It's a real fear. Another fear, and it's a fear that all recruiters, hiring managers, and sourcers have today, is that their jobs will become eliminated. That's a real fear. It's a very real fear that we all face. And somehow we're going to take sourcing as a concept and eliminate the sourcing team and replace it with nothing but sourcing technology. And maybe we'll take the sourcers, we'll make them sourcing operations. And we'll take the recruitment marketing people, the employer branding people, and we'll replace that with all technology. And we'll make those folks recruitment marketing operations, where they're just looking at conversions and pipelines. And the same thing about recruiters. Eliminate all the stuff that needs to be eliminated. And just elevate people to where they do the best thing as humans that they need to do. Recruiters don't spend enough time with candidates, the real candidates that they should be spending time with, because they're working too many recs. So some of that is, how can we make that efficient? Well, on the way to efficiency is fear. The first theme that we have to get over is we have to get over the fact that this is happening with us, without us. And it's going to happen on the terms of the market and the world, and it's not going to have anything to do with us. So imagine way back when before automobiles, and there was like horse and buggies or camels, or people got around on horses, elephants, etc. Like people got around on different things, beasts, generally. Imagine seeing that first car whiz by you. Like, what did you think if you were there at that moment and that car, that automobile just kind of whizzed by you? The first thing you thought was, wow, that's cool. Second thing you thought is, oh my God, that's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. For us to embrace and for us to actually use AI, machine learning, bots, NLP, etc., we have to embrace it. We have to embrace change. And change is consistent, and change is painful, and every single one of the people in this room, we all had change. That's what bonds us, actually. One of the threads that goes through every single one of us is we all hate change. We might hate it in different ways, but we all hate change. What I'm asking you to do is to not only embrace the change that's happening with technology, but to open your heart and to fall in love with it and to play with it and experiment with it and to try things with it and to let go of your fears. Okay? Not easy. What I'm asking you to do, I understand how difficult it is, because I'm asking you to essentially have faith. And faith that the technology that we try will be better than the way that we do it currently. And faith is never easy. So one of the metaphors that I'd like for you to think about is technology changes are like little pieces of sand. Okay? Little bitty tiny changes. And changes that are on a beach. And what I'm asking you to do on the first side of this is to fall in love with that beach. Fall in love with pieces of sand. Fall in love with micro change. And to embrace it, not fear it. Okay. Switching themes for a moment, and this will be a big switch, considering everyone in the room has heard the terms AI. Bots, robots, chatbots, my bots, your bots, NLP, machine learning, etc. Get into the development languages. You can go as far and as deep as you'd like. And technologists, scientists, technology companies in general want you to think about those words. And so on some level, every single person in this room has a level of anxiety around those words, those terms, because either they don't feel like they know what they are, or they feel like they're going to blindside them, or they're going to take their job, or whatever. What I'm going to tell you is none of those words matter. Okay, so let that set in. AI, machine learning, bots, the how we get something done doesn't matter. It never has mattered. It never will matter. So when you walk out here and you talk to these wonderful vendors, which by the way, they're all wonderful, and you talk to the startups, which are all wonderful, they're going to talk to you about the how. What I suggest to you today is that you don't think about the how, that the how is not important. The how is actually a distraction from what you should be focused on, okay? So the more I talk about AI, and from a good place, the more I talk about AI, the more I get you into a technology discussion. You don't need to be in a technology discussion. You need to be in an experience discussion, okay? So experience, and I'll explain that, absolutely is more important than technology, okay? The experience, candidate experience, employee experience, alumni experience, the experiences we create for the people that work with us and for us are far more important than any technology we use. In fact, the technology that we use is just the things that get us to the experience. So if you have anxiety, or you take medications for anxiety like I do, just kidding, stop worrying about the how. Give up. In fact, cede the how. I don't care how. Like, you need to actually come to this place, a very open and honest place, where you're like, yeah, I don't really care about how. What I care about is what. What happens? What is the experience that we create? Okay? So, we're changing themes from fears to experiences, right? I don't want you to blame the vendors, but I want you to hold them accountable. So this is a little bit different. I don't want you to go out there and talk to somebody and they say AI, you're like, I don't care about AI. That's not really the point. The point is that you have a deeper conversation with them, like, you know what? I understand that you get down into the how, cool. Tell me what that does with this experience, with candidates, with employees, with alumni. What does that do? What does it actually, functionally, what does it do to make the experience better? Your job, singularly, are to retain top talent. So how do you retain top talent? You got to recruit them, you got to engage them, you got to keep them. Okay, well, how do you do that? You got to create great experiences for them. And I don't mean one experience, like, oh, wow, I had this one experience 5 months ago. That was fantastic. I mean, you've got to be constantly making great experiences for people. Constantly. It's a nonstop, endless battle to create great experiences for all of the constituencies that you serve, be it candidates, employees, or alumni. The reason I use those three terms, candidates, employees, and alumni, those are the three ways that a human being can have a relationship with a company. There's only three ways. You're either candidate or not, you're either employee or not, or you're either alumni or not. And in the active sense, you can only have three different relationships. So we have to think about those experiences and how we can make those experiences better all the time. Because if we don't, someone else will. And so those experiences become a way of differentiation. It becomes a model of how you keep talent, is you keep them engaged because their experiences are better. So I'm going to tell you a story about the Ritz-Carlton. And those of you that were with me earlier, I'll repeat this because it's important. So in '05, I went down to Santiago, Chile for one of my employees' wedding. And my wife and I stayed at the Ritz-Carlton. And different from pretty much any hotel experience I'd ever have is they don't let you just kind of swipe a card, check in, get a key, and run to your room. They sit you down, okay? And I'm sure most of you have stayed at a Ritz somewhere. They sit you down and they get to learn you. They get to understand you. So like, what are you into? I like coin collecting. What do you, like soft drinks or water or beer? Well, yeah, what type of drinks do you like? I like water. I like Evian. Cold, really, 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 really cold. They take you through a process where they're learning things about you. And my wife and I go shopping. We drop off our bags, do all this regular stuff, right? We go out shopping, hang out in Santiago, see a bunch of art, come back. I'm on the observation deck. Guy walks by me from the Ritz. He said, "Mr. Tincup." I said, yeah, what's up? He goes, I have a bottle of Evian water. I know you like it cold. Can I get you anything else? So imagine the experience that I had. First of all, they had to know my name. They had to have an image of my face. They had to know what I liked. And then they had to do it. Okay? So how do we do that? Think of the process. That was '05. How was the underlying process? What was the technology? But more importantly, and this is the thing I want you to get, it's the mindset. It's the mindset that the Ritz-Carlton had was a mindset that says, we want you to not have a hotel experience. That's passé. Anybody can give you a hotel experience. Hilton can give you a hotel experience. We want you to have an experience that's better than anything you've ever had. And we want to get to know you. Okay, so let's translate that into HR. So how many of you have people that work for you or work with you? Come on, so raise your hands. Come on, it's not that hard, just a hand. All right, you get a notification that it's Jimmy's birthday, right? That's cool. I mean, like LinkedIn does that, Facebook does that, and God knows if they can do it, anybody can do it. You get this notification. It says, Jimmy's birthday, right? Well, that's cool, but what if? What if 5 days earlier you received an email that said Jimmy's birthday is next Tuesday? Okay? And what if, let's go further back. Jimmy was once a candidate. What if, as a recruiter, I asked some questions of Jimmy? Jimmy, what are you into? What do you like? Bone fishing in Belize? Drone racing? Like, what do you like? Hot air balloons? What's your bit? What do you like? I'll just show you how much of a geek I am. I collect coins, right? So it's like like if there was a pyramid of geekiness, they'd be real close to the top. I collect money, right? So let's say as a recruiter, we find out what Jimmy likes. Jimmy likes bone fishing in Belize. If any of you have been to Belize, bone fishing is a thing. You sit out there and you actually fish like that. And it's fun. But let's say we find that out about Jimmy in recruiting. Hiring manager finds that out, recruiter finds that out, we put that in the system. And when we onboard Jimmy, we find out that, and we validate that, Jimmy, you like bone fishing in Belize, right? You told Sam that, right? Yeah, I love that. Okay, fantastic, that's great. I validated it, trust and validate. Now let's go back to that current scenario. You just got an alert, a notification that Jimmy's birthday is next Tuesday. And not only do you know that it's next Tuesday, but you know that he likes bone fishing in Belize. So now you have enough time to do something with that, and you know what he's into. So you can get him gear. You can get him stuff, poles, things that he likes, gear, his Amazon wish list, whatever. The point is you can personalize it. So technology today giving you an alert about somebody's birthday, who cares? That doesn't help me. that doesn't really make my life better. And that's not going to make Jimmy's life better. What we need to do is we need to back that up and bring that data from recruiting and hiring and onboarding and bring that data in so that we can make a great experience for Jimmy. I'd call those micro experiences if you want to kind of get to the nuance, because you really want to kind of think about the little bitty tiny experiences that you're creating. Okay, we met Jimmy, we learned this about him, we validated this. There's a group of people in the firm that love bone fishing or love Belize in general, so now we can put them in some type of a SIG or some type of group, so we can put them in like-minded people. All over the world, there's a group of people, a small group of people that love that. And now we can find a way to engage Jimmy in a different way. Micro experiences. Always be making the experience better. So, that's a job that's never ending, right? I want to tell you one more story real quick before I leave. It's got about 3 minutes. And is there anybody from Ramco here? Is anybody from Ramco here? Could y'all stand up for a second? Come on. Stand up, stand up. All right, everybody took a look at these people. Okay, good. Now y'all sit down. So I was at their innovation lab on Tuesday. And when I walked in, there's a tablet. Facial recognition, right? I was not obviously recognized because I was a guest, but employees came in behind me and they literally stood in front of it, boom, door opens. Time and attendance software, the idea of like clocking in and doing something, that's gone, right? Once it recognized who I am and it let the door open, it knew that I was there. And oh, by the way, it also knew when I was leaving because there was facial recognition on the way out. So it could tell you when I was coming and going. Technology can give you that data, right? And if someone hadn't shown up, like it's 3 hours later and they normally come in at 9, wait a minute, that could send an alert to some of the people on the team and say, hey, Jenny's not here. We should probably reach out to her or her husband and find out what's going on. The last thing that they did was fascinating. They did this technology for mining, think of blue collars, truck drivers, forklift operators, etc. It's the same technology, facial recognition. But instead of clocking you in, right, you had to then blow on a breathalyzer, right, to see if you've had alcohol in the last couple hours. And if you've had alcohol in the last couple hours, it wouldn't clock you in. And in fact, it would signal to your advisor or your boss to